Hi everybody, Leroy Shiro here. You'll never guess where I am. I'm in a turkey blind on my day off. Social distancing myself from people, but not necessarily from turkeys. So I'm here in a turkey blind waiting for Mr. Tom to come along. And let me just show you my decoy setup. Let's see if we can pull this out. Alright, you'll be able to see that. There are my turkey decoys. And here is me. All right. You know, one thing when it comes to hunting turkeys or anything is you got to be able to communicate with them, whether it's turkeys or deer or ducks or geese or whatever. And one of the premier call makers for any wild game is Primos. And their motto is kind of unique. I like it. It's speak the language, right? Whenever you hear about Primos game calls, they always talk about speaking the language. Because you've got to be able to speak the language, whether it's a turkey or a deer or a goose, whatever, in order to draw them in, right? Well, think about this. What about Jesus, right? Didn't he speak the language? Our human language, in so many ways. You know, some people have trouble with God becoming human like us. But the question I have is, what better way in order to communicate with us, right? For us to understand God, to become human flesh, to speak the language, our language. And so Jesus used the language of vine and branches. He used the language of sheep and shepherd. He used the language of plowing, sowing, reaping. He used the language of bread and wine and water to communicate who this wonderful God is and what he has done for us. He uses the language of the cross. So what better way to speak to us than to use those things that we understand? And what better way for God to show his love and compassion for us than to become one of us? And so the question remains, if God is speaking our language, are we listening, right? Are we praying? You know, prayer is not just about words. It's also about listening, spending that quiet time and listening to everything around us and becoming aware of God's presence where we are. So God is speaking the language. The question is, are you and I listening? We take time to listen to him each day. By the way, speaking the language of the turkey, maybe some of you know, I should demonstrate for you. Of course, there's the gobbles, but then there's also the yelps, the clucks, and the purrs. And I thought I'd just demonstrate here a little bit for you, just to show you that I know what I'm talking about. So this would be a typical gobble. This is a box call. So here, this would be a gobble. All right. Of course, we chalk it to make it feel that way, or to sound that way. And here's the yelp. This is the most common call for turkeys. And this would be a cluck. Kind of a different method. And here's the purr. That's kind of like, come here, baby. I love you. Say, I'm ready for love. But anyway, that's the language of the turkey, and that's what draws them in. And so, of course, tonight I'm hoping that happens. So here's another call. When you get a little more proficient, this little thing right here, believe it or not, goes like this. Again, the language, right? Jesus speaks to us every day, and not just in our liturgies, which are very, very important. That's the greatest way that Jesus speaks to us. But allow God to speak to you, and every day, and he'll have something to say. Father Leroy Shiro, sitting in my turkey blind tonight and signing off. And ooh, by the way, I think I see a turkey out there. So take care. God bless.